Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture series of Object Oriented Programming. In this lecture, we are going to see in detail how to catch all the exceptions with an example, and we will see the multiple catch statements with an example. At the end of this lecture, you will be able to catch multiple exceptions as well as you will be able to catch all the exceptions in a single catch statements. In the previous lecture, we have seen that the code for handling the exception is included in the catch block, and it definitely looks like a function definition. If you observe the syntax over here, I have a catch block followed by the type argument, and inside the opening and closing parenthesis, I have the statements for managing those exceptions. The type indicates the type of exception that catch block handles, and the argument is an optional parameter name. The catch statement catches an exception whose type matches with the type of catch argument. That means when the try block detects an exception and throws an exception, of course it throws an exception of some type. So that type must match with this catch type. Okay, and if it is matched, then only the exception will be handled by that catch statement. When an exception is caught, the code with that catch block is executed. If the parameter in the catch statement is named, then the parameter can be used in the exception handling code. After its execution, the code goes to the statement immediately following the catch block. The catch block will be skipped if the exception is not caught. If the exception is not caught due to the mismatch or abnormal program termination, uh, due to mismatch, then the abnormal program termination will occur. Let us see how to deal with multiple catch statement. It is possible to have more than one condition to throw an exception. If you observe the syntax over here, I have a single try block, and inside that single try block I can have multiple conditions, and I can throw those conditions when an exception occurs. We can associate more than one catch statement with a try statement, and when an exception is thrown, the exception handlers are searched in order for their appropriate match. So for example, if I have multiple try statements over here, if I have multiple cases here, then for each case I can throw an exception, and could be uh, there could be different catch statements or exception handlers. And when I throw that exception, the uh, match will be identified from this catch statements. And if when the exception handler are searched in the order of their appropriate match, and when the match has been found, at that time that appropriate block will be executed. The first handler that yields a match will be executed. After executing that respective handler, the control goes to the first statement after the last catch block for the try. That means if I have three conditions over here, and each condition, for example, if I have three catch blocks, then for first condition I can have catch block 1, then for second condition I may have catch block 3, and for the third condition I may have catch block 2. Then after executing all the blocks, okay, after handling the exception, the control will go to the last statement after the last catch block for that respective try block. And when the no match is found for that catch block and the exception thrown by that block, then the program will be terminated. It is possible that the arguments of several catch statements match the type of an exception, and in such cases, the first handler that matches the exception type will be executed. Let us see the example how the multiple catch statements work. Now here I have main statement. Here I am uh, going to throw an exception for the value x. Now, here is my first cout statement which shows the testing multiple catches. Now, here I have a cout statement which indicates the value of x is equal to 1. Now, when I pass a parameter here 1, okay, uh, the value of x here now 1, and when that function will be called, it will go here and it will check integer x. Yes, integer x is 1, so it will go inside that function. Now it will try. Okay, if x is equal to 1, then what is thrown? Then that x, that respective x will be thrown, and that x is of type integer. So if it is of type integer, then the respective blocks will be searched, and the respective catch statements will be searched for type integer. So if you observe here, it is a type character, so this block will not be executed. But if you go here, then the type of argument, it is of integer. Then when this statement will be executed and when this exception will be thrown, at that time this catch integer m, this block will be executed, and caught integer statement will be printed on the screen. Now again, uh, control will come here, and cout if x is equal to 0 will be executed. It will be displayed on the screen. And when that test 0, when the 0 will be passed as an argument to the function test, at that time that 0 will go here as x, and again it will go for checking the try block. And when x is equal to 0, at that time throw x. Now here x is in the quotes, so that x will be considered as a character over here. So to catch this exception, we have to check the type which is of character of that respective catch statement. Now if you search here in the first glance, we will get the type of that catch statement as a character. So in that case, caught character statement will be executed, and again control will come here, and cout x is equal to minus 1 will be printed. Now here, after that, test minus 1 will be evoked with the parameter, test will be evoked with the parameter minus 1. Again it will go into the try block. Now here x is equal to minus 1, then throw 1.0 will be executed. Now this 1.0 will be considered as a double, for example, or if you want you can consider it as a float also, but now here I have considered it as a double. So when this throw exception will occur, at that time the catch statement which will match to this argument will be searched. If you go here, it is of type character, so will not be executed. If you go here, it is of type integer, so will not be executed. So now last, if you go here double d, then it is of same type, that is double. Then in that case the caught double will be executed. That statement will be displayed on the screen. And at the last, when I have x is equal to 2, and when test is equal to when the test will be called, test function will be called with the argument as a 2, then of course that 2 is my integer. So 2 is my integer, but if you search over here, 2 is not available over here, okay, in the trial statement. So in that case, uh, catch statement will not be executed, and it will directly terminate the program. So if you observe the output, you can go through this. Now here, let me check. X is equal to 2, it is not available, so of course that statement will not be executed. It is by mistakenly printed over here. This statement x is equal to 2 will not be executed over here, okay. Now let us see how to catch all the exceptions. Okay, sometimes we may not be able to design the independent catch statement to handle all the possible types of exceptions. So we can force a catch statement to catch all the exceptions instead of certain type alone. If you observe over here, we have designed the catch statement for each and every exception to handle, but sometimes we may not require to design each and to handle each and every exception, okay, catch statement to execute each and every exception. So in that case, we can have a single catch statement to catch all the exceptions, okay. So you can have a syntax over here, you can have a catch in brackets three dots, okay, in the opening and curly parenthesis you can have statements for processing all the exceptions. Now if you observe here, normally when we have a catch statement, we are passing the parameter over here, argument over here of some type, but here now we are not passing any type, okay. this catch should always be placed in the last in the list of handlers. Okay, and if we have some catch statements in our, if we have multiple catch statements in our program, then this statement should be placed in the last. But if you do not place this statement in the last, then what will happen, it will prevent the blocks which blocks from catching the exceptions. That means it will prevent the blocks, the catch blocks which are previous to this which are which are after to this exception. And of course you may not uh, like to skip that blocks which are supposed to executed. Okay, so this catch all should be always in the last in the exception handling list. Okay, so let us see the example here. Here I have main statement. Now here in the previous example we have designed the different exceptions to handle, different handlers to handle these exceptions. Now I have here test -1, test 0, test 1 with the value for x. Now when I have x is equal to 1, then this catch will be executed. Although I have x is equal to 0, that is throwing a character, then again this catch statement will be executed. And if I have that x is equal to -1, that means if I want to throw or double, then again this catch statement will be executed. That means for all the exceptions I have common catch statement, that is caught an exception. So I can have a common catch statement to handle all the exceptions. Okay, so every time whenever that exception will occur and it will be thrown, then that common catch statement will be executed and it will print as caught an exception, caught an exception, caught an exception, etc. So I hope you have understood how to handle multiple catch statements and how to use a single catch statement to handle the multiple exceptions. So we'll meet in the next lecture. Thank you. Happy learning.